Good day, everyone. So, welcome to our national webinar participants to ensure that your microphones are muted and that you are properly logged in using your registered name. The program will begin shortly. Thank you for your cooperation. Okay, I'm sorry. So, a pleasant day to everyone. On behalf of Ronis Training Center, in partnership with the Professional Regulation Commission, or PRC, the Department of Education, the CPD Group of London, and the American Council of Training and Development, we warmly welcome you to our national webinar with the theme Bangon Edukasyon towards a national bridge uplifted and empowering teachers and learners. Okay, so to formally begin our program, may I request everyone to kindly put yourselves in the presence of the Almighty as we listen to the opening prayer followed by the singing of the Philippine national anthem.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for gathering us all today in this important endeavor. We ask that you bestow your guidance and blessing upon each attendee. May we honor one another by keeping an open mind. May we voice truth and listen with an open heart. Bless everyone present today, that each may be able to share his or her contributions and gifts. Grant good health and safety to loved ones left outside this room, and bestow peace and goodwill to all of us. We ask for your wisdom and grace to use our talents for the betterment of others. May the various activities related to this day be a success through your intervention. With gratitude, we offer this prayer in your name. Amen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Okay, so to officially open our program, we are honored to have our opening remarks from our very own CEO, Dr. Franz Byron Gian. Let us give us a virtual round of applause. Sir?
Rest to join us on this virtual room. Maybe they are encountering technical difficulties this time, but nevertheless, we are actually simulcasted, recorded live through our YouTube channel. Once again, to our honored guests, educators, school leaders, our resource persons and resource speakers, good morning. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. We gather virtually today at the threshold of a transformative journey, the national webinar on addressing pedagogical challenges for all teachers and school leaders. Our theme for today's webinar, Empowering 21st Century Educators, Strategies for Effective Teaching, Leadership, and Innovation, beckons us to redefine the frontiers of education. On this digital age where knowledge is a click of a finger away, our role as educators transcends traditional boundaries. We are not just imparting information, but we are shaping the minds, fostering critical thinking, and nurturing innovations who will shape the future of our nation. Pedagogical challenges are inevitable, but they are also opportunities for our growth. This webinar is a collaborative space to share, to learn, to co create strategies, ignite effective teaching, and be a visionary leader for our innovation in each and every classroom. This webinar is powered by Ranas Training Center, part of the 9 businesses under Ranas Group. And sometimes we would receive inquiries on the internet if this is a legitimate CPD training provider. And yes, we are not only nationally accredited and recognized, but we are also internationally recognized. First, we are recognized, of course, by the professional PRC, Professional Regulation Commission in the Philippines. We are a institution member of the Philippine Associations for Teachers and Educators, and internationally recognized by the CPD Group of London and the American Council for Training and Development. So, we are expected to set a transformative experience to each and every attendees in in every corner in the country. This webinar that you are joining today is equivalent to 3 days training, or you will earn 24 hours training period with 12 CPD units. So sa mga nagtatanong kung pwede na sila makakuha ng training certificate today, no po, hindi pa po. Kasi the training is from Friday, today, Saturday, and tomorrow, Sunday. Ibig sabihin, kailangan muna nating tapusin yung 3 araw na yon, or else we will be questioned. And of course, we are also recorded because PRC will be joining us in any moment to monitor if we are really conducting a real webinar. Beyond today, Rona or Rona's Training Center invites you to our lined up trainings and webinars for this 2026. We have about 5 different webinars upcoming. We have transformational leaders and instructional supervision, reimagining pedagogy and curriculum. That's also a 24 hours or 3 days, 3 days face-to-face seminar. 1 day whole seminar, while the rest that composes the 3 days is through Google Classroom. We have also cultivate academic resilience and equity, pedagogy and administration or project care, that's equivalent to 24 hours virtual training. We have transformative leadership and instructional supervision, that's equivalent to 60 hours virtual training. And lastly, for the year, we have the next generation pedagogy and curriculum, professional development for modern educators, that's equivalent to 24 hours virtual training. We are proud partner of Holy Name University in Tagbilaran City, Leyte Normal University in Tacloban City, St. Paul University of Dumaguete, and Southern Leyte State University of Southern Leyte in the Philippines. And of course, we still have more coming up partnership in Luzon, Visayas, and in Mindanao. And to everyone, I would like to welcome you and enjoy this new day to learn and to earn your CPD certificates. Once again, good morning and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you very much for that inspiring message, Doc. So this time, we are truly honored to receive a message of support from our esteemed national leaders, whose guidance and commitment continue to strengthening the professional growth of our educators and school leaders across the country. Their message affirmed the importance of continuing professional development in advancing quality education and empowering teachers and learners in this new educational landscape. First, we are privileged to receive a message of support via video from the Secretary of the Department of Education, Honorable Sunny Angara, followed by we are also honored to receive a message of support through a printed message from Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines, no other than Vice President Sara Duterte. So may we now watch the video message of Honorable Sunny Angara. This message highlights the Department of Education's continued commitment to strengthening practices, supporting teachers, professional development, and ensuring quality and inclusive future-ready education for all Filipino learners. Her message underscores the vital role of educators in nation building and emphasizes the importance of continuous learning in addressing the challenges faced by our education sector. So thank you very much, Honorable Vice President Sara Duterte, for your encouraging message and steadfast commitment to advancing Filipino education. So, before we start with our first speaker, may I remind our participants in our house rules and important reminders before we proceed. So, may I request everyone's attention to the following important reminders. One, please keep your microphones muted through the webinar. Number two, use the chat box for questions and clarifications. And number three, after each discussion, all participants are required to complete the evaluation form for the resource speaker for your cooperation. Okay, your cooperation is highly appreciated. Okay, we now proceed to our first resource speaker. Our first resource speaker is a distinguished educator and instructional leader from the Department of Education, Bohol, currently serving as a master teacher too, and he holds a doctorate of philosophy management and information system. He is widely recognized for his expertise in educational technology, instructional leadership, competency-based education, research and digital learning system, and has received several recognitions, including Outstanding Teacher, Best in ICT Innovation for Learner Support, and the Superintendent Special Award. Ladies and gentlemen, let us give a warm virtual applause to Dr. Fernando Enad. Hi, Doc. Good morning.
Good morning, Ma'am Aimee. Thank you so much for that very generous introduction. And good morning to all the participants who are in this virtual meeting room. I am so glad to have been invited, to take part of this noble cause to actually spread knowledge about pedagogy as well as strategies to be able to improve the quality of learning, not just in our locale, but also nationally. And of course, it's our goal to reach global, no? Considering that we have been getting a lot of bad results from the international assessment, is actually an indicator that as teachers, we have to evolve into someone who is not just good at delivering knowledge or information, but also the catalyst of change for us to be uh to be the movers, no, of quality education. So let me just go ahead and share my screen, so I hope I'll be allowed by our moderator. Okay, thank you. All right. I just would like to check, is my screen visible now, Ma'am Amy? Okay, I certainly hope that my screen
Yes,
is
Doc,
visible
sir.
now. Okay, thank you. All right. So, my topic for today is actually integrating technology in education. And before we actually move on, let me just give you another background on myself. No, on top of my being a teacher too in our school under the division of Bohol, I'm also designated to a lot of designations. So I wear a lot of hats basically. So I'm the chairperson of DepEd Bohol ICT Platforms Unit. I'm also the chairperson of DepEd Bohol DSAIL PWG. By the way, ICT is common. But DSAIL is actually a program in our division that stands for Digital Synergetic Assessment of Learning. So it's a program by our SDS, the Schools Division Superintendent, to kind of implement an assessment, no, protocol to the whole school division. So we have pre-test and post-test, and I manage the basically the promulgation of the questions, quality assuring them, and also conducting the assessment. And being that I manage that, I see the issues, no, and if you try to actually compare the result of this local assessment to the PISA or international assessment, it appears that there's not much of a difference. So meaning there really is an issue, and EDCOM2 is right by saying that there is a learning crisis because international assessment says so, also the local assessment. But I'm pretty sure that you've noticed that we have a lot of learners who are honor students, no? So that for me is a mismatch, and I'm just so happy to have been invited for this talk because I would be able to actually share my advocacy towards being able to make quality education, which is one of the SDGs, something that's close to my heart. And that's the reason why currently I'm enrolled in Doctor in Sustainability from the University of the Philippines, for me to be able to focus attention really in improving quality of education, not just in my locality, in my division, in my region, but nationally as well. On top of that, I'm the Secretary Chairman of HRMPSB, and currently I was proud to be admitted as associate member of the National Research Council of the Philippines. All right, now let's get started. I'm pretty sure that everyone is kind of excited already as to what's going to happen to my session. So I have a small request. For 1 minute, I want you to go ahead and answer the question: which part of your teaching work takes up most of your time? All right. And for you to be able to share your answer, please scan the QR code on your screen using your phone, and then try to answer that question. In the event that you have issues with scanning the QR code, you could make use of your phone, open your Google browser, and type in the URL menti.com and then input the code 44155470. So I'll start the countdown now. I'll give you a minute to think about it. And within that 1 minute, you should also be able to submit your answers to the Menti app. All right. For those who are having issues with navigating the Menti app by going to the URL or even scanning the QR code, you could write no you could write your or input your answers through the chat panel, and then we'll try to consider that during the showing of results. 20 seconds, everyone. All right. Hopefully, a lot of you has been able already to put in your answers. So let me go ahead and try to open up the result here. Okay. All right. No, I'm pretty sure the rest are still trying to input their answers, but we already have common, no, we already have common result here, and that's creating quizzes and making the PowerPoint, no, making learning materials. All right, so let's just wait for another 30 seconds to wait for the rest, no, to input their answers. Right, these are actually common, no, these are common what do you call this, work or job that's actually taking most of the time, right? For us teachers. And that's the reason why a lot of teachers have been posting online actually that the 2 hours allocation per day to prepare is not enough. And that is because um, the you know the minimum hours, no? The hours provided or the duration provided is not enough, especially if you have a lot of subjects to handle like mine. I'm actually handling 5 different subjects. It would have been better if I'm only handling, one subject and then 7 sections a day. That would have been good. But because you only prepare once. However, if you have multiple subjects, that means to say that you need to make a lot of preparation, and basically it's kind of tedious, no, on our parts. Okay, so it appears that everyone has submitted their responses already. So we're circling around making learning materials, creating the quizzes, discussion, and making the PowerPoint. It's a good thing that nothing in here speaks of difficulty, no, in creating the lesson plan. All right, so let's get going. So I've shown you the result. So my next question is, and I didn't prepare a Menti app for this. Please make use of the chat panel. What have you done so far to mitigate the challenges in your teaching work? So please input your answers on the chat panel. I hope that our moderator has enabled the chat panel so that we'll be able to read through the messages, of our participants in this virtual meeting room. Is the chat panel enabled? Oh, it appears that it's not. I can't seem to see the link. Anyway, okay. So let's just forego with that. Unfortunately, I was not able to prepare Menti protocol for the things that you've done. But I'm pretty sure that we all have done a lot, and that's spending more time to be able to kind of draft a material of quality. And I'm pretty sure that we have tried a lot of tools, technological tools, digital tools, for us to be able to mitigate these challenges. And I'm pretty sure that one of the reasons why you're actually attending this session is for you to gain additional insights on how to be able to be skilled with skills to be able to mitigate the challenges currently in your teaching work. And for that, thank you so much and congratulations. Now, though we already have done things, no, to be able to mitigate the challenges in our work, let's go ahead and take a look as to what research says, in particular, to how actually teachers or educators did, what did they do to be able to mitigate the challenges in their current teaching work. Right. So there are actually 3 prominent studies that I was able to look up, particular to the empirical evidences suggesting that AI actually helps teachers. Right. We have one from Gallup. We also have one from AP News, and we have from Adelaide Now, all of which were published in the year 2025. So let's get going with Gallup. What did Gallup say? In 2025, Gallup stipulated that teachers who use AI tools at least weekly save an average of 5.9 hours per week. And this is equivalent to over 6 weeks per school year. So if you could just imagine, if we are able to use AI tools properly, right, and efficiently, we're going to be able to save 5.9 hours. So if you could just imagine that 5.9 hours is already a good time to be able to spend with the family instead of you just lurking on the corner and then preparing, the lessons or preparing the materials of that, or even preparing the assessment. Right. So these educators also report improvements in the quality of their work tasks, especially in grading, right? Feedback and administrative work, no? So gone are the days that you would have to actually think a lot, reflect deeply for you to really be able to improve your work tasks. Because of AI, you can now enhance it. And I could actually kind of connect this with my experience. No, I actually had a chance to work in the US as a teacher handling combination classes. So I handle mathematics, science, PE, and technology education, right? EduTech for the middle school and the high school. In my middle school class, I have students with varying levels. No, I have a grade 4 student. I had grade 5, 7, and 8. No, and then for my high school, I had students under level 9, 10, 11, 12. So if you could just imagine the preparation, I would need to basically prepare lessons for each of the levels, right? It's a good thing that AI has been prominent during that time. So instead of me really spending a lot of times just for me to be able to prepare these lessons, I could just, do it in a small amount of time. And therefore, I was not stressed despite having a lot of subjects to handle, um, especially that they're of different levels. No? All right. Also, during feedback, wherein we are going to provide feedback to the performance of the learners to their parents, because in the US, we actually would need to be clear, and how we write our feedback should be um, in a smart format. No, so if you would do that um, per learner, it would really take you time to be able to draft, the comments or feedbacks to the learners. But because of AI, it has become easy because AI would actually be able to provide you suggestions, right, on how to provide a narrative. I'm not saying that you would copy everything, but at least the AI would provide you, ideas for you to be able to avoid what we call as a mental block. All right. Now, another study or another publication from AP News in 2025, AI tools like ChatGPT are transforming the teaching profession by supporting lesson planning, grading, administrative work, and boosting student engagement. No, I even have a colleague there who was handling um, English language arts, and because that was a class with multiple learners, for her to be able to check their output and kind of assess whether or not they're proficient in their current level, she would really need, to read the contents. And I'm pretty sure that as teachers, we kind of have bias, no, in terms of assessing, especially if it's not a multiple choice question, right? We kind of have bias on how we grade, especially essays, no? But what really happened is that that teacher used, an AI tool. So the good thing is that the school where I was employed during my US stint is that they're subscribing. The good thing is that there's a supportive. They subscribe an online AI tool just targeting the ELA skills. So what happened is that the teacher will just instruct the learners to log into their site, and then they would write their narrative, or for their output they would input it directly, and then it's going to be the website who's going to score it according to identified rubrics, and then be able to determine the current level of the learner, and it will become basis, one of the basis um, for the teacher's decision whether to actually promote the learner already on the next level. Because the good thing there in the US is that, particularly in the district, is that they wouldn't need to wait for the school year to end for them to be able to promote. If the learner is able to showcase proficiency already on the standards, which we call here in the Philippines as learning competencies, then by all means, a learner can be promoted, all right, multiple times in a year. But this is per subject or per learning area, not actually on the grade level. Because from the school where I taught, the grade level is only kind of relative to your age. So as to if you'll be in the middle school, lower or upper elementary or high school, it's dependent on your age, not dependent on your skill. So there's a possibility that you're in the high school already, right, based on your age. However, the topics that you are doing still belong to upper elementary or even middle school. And we had a lot of issues with that back there in the US. In my high school, I have learners with sciences at level 3. So there's a lot of things to be done just for our learners to be able to keep up with the pace. All right. Now, 60% of the K to 12 public school teachers in the US used AI during school year 2024-2025, and frequent users reported up to 6 hours saved weekly. So it's kind of aligned with the previous study from Gallup, no? That it would really be able to allow teachers to save 6 worth of hours in the preparation. And given that they're able to save 6 hours, that means to say that there's an increased time with the teacher being able to spend it with the family, or even make delivery of lesson more efficient. And we have the last study here from Adelaide Now. It was published in 2025 May. AI is alleviating workload in Australia by automating tasks like planning, marking, and feedback. Dr. Sampaller estimates about 5 hours saved per week. So the three studies actually are talking the same thing. No? It's able to make the lives of teachers light, not burden. And of course, it's going to allow teachers to be able to spend more time with the family rather than just be focusing on the preparation. All right. Also, if I may share, because I'm handling research subject, I handle grade 8 science research, grade 9 science research. I'm also handling grade 11 research. Um, Truth be told, it's really difficult to go ahead and assess outputs, no? Especially that I really don't like my learners to work in big groups. My maximum is only 30 per group. So meaning there's a lot of output from that class. So what I'm doing is that for me to be not biased in terms of assessing, and for me to be able to provide suggestions and recommendations that are particular to what is being assessed, no, I made use of AI to help me out with giving out the comments, the recommendations. But of course, before I'll give it to my learners, I would go ahead and try to review it first, no, because again, like what I mentioned a while ago, we should not be all reliant to AI. No, there should still be the human touch in terms of giving feedback or assessing or even preparing. The things that we need to prepare before the delivery of our lessons. So if you could notice in here, um, it there are empirical studies that says that AI is actually helping, teachers to navigate complexity in the delivery of lessons, and not just on the delivery of lessons but also other tasks that may be provided by the admin. All right. So these are also the practical benefits of AI in teaching. And we're able to actually gather that from different sources. First is automation. All right. It saves preparation time. And that's according to Rodrigo et al. 2024. Also, one of the practical benefits is creativity. It offers creative ideas and varied approaches, according to Villanueva et al. 2024. And that's true, because I'm pretty sure that at some point we have been able to actually make use of an AI, may it be ChatGPT or Gemini or DeepSeek, no, or Grok from Twitter or X, no. So what actually happens is that for most of the time, we're just so inclined to make use of this strategy in delivering the lesson, right? But I'm pretty sure that at some point you're able to kind of refer to an AI to offer other ways or to offer other approaches, no, in delivering that kind of lesson. And I'm pretty sure it gave you creative ideas, which you also considered in the preparation and implementation of the lesson. All right. So again, one of the benefits is practical benefits. And third one is efficiency. It allows teachers to focus more on facilitating learning. Why is that so? That is because you are no longer too focused on preparing the delivery. No, um, you will now spend less time in terms of preparing the lesson or preparing the materials, drafting the PowerPoint, or even delivering the quizzes. All right, right. So meaning, you will now have enough time for you to be able to think of how you would facilitate the learning, right? Instead of thinking, what would I do? What would I say? And how am I going to do it? Because you already have the idea, you will become efficient and can now more focus on how to be able to facilitate learning better. And that's according to Gallup in 2025 and Smith in 2023. All right. But the question is, what keeps teachers from crossing the bridge? No, given that we had challenges, because I'm pretty sure that in your school probably you've observed that despite the technology being so available for teachers to take advantage with, that they're still not utilizing it. All right, and they're still doing what they used to do. I even have colleagues, no, in my school who still make use of the manual computation of grades, despite the fact that DepEd has issued memorandums and orders particular to the usage of the electronic class records, right? So, what is prohibiting them actually from crossing the bridge, given that the AI, for example, or digital technology are offering practical benefits in teaching? According to Sibog et al. 2024, it's all because of reservations. No, it's because of reservations that not all teachers, and there's still a lot of them, who are not into making use of this technology, particularly AI, and probably because of the mindset that other sectors are implying, that I'm pretty sure you've heard a lot of I've heard a lot of memes, or probably posts or content stipulating that using AI is not ethical, or using AI would degrade your cognitive ability. And those are part of reservations. But why is it that people have reservations in completely utilizing or even partially testing AI or other digital technologies? Now, there's actually a theory that could explain that. No, that's the technology acceptance model, and um, according to the theory, there are two things. There are two factors for any person, not just in the academe, to use or to adopt technology or AI for that matter. It's because of the perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use. So if we talk about usefulness, it's the belief that technology will improve performance. And if we talk about ease of use, it's the belief that technology will be free of effort. Now, for the usefulness, it's not a question, right? There's studies already stipulating that it would really improve the performance. The issue now lies on the perceived ease of use, right? Because tendency is that if it's new, we kind of have the doubt that it's going to be easy to actually manipulate, no? And that's the purpose why we're having the session. All right. That is for us to increase our perception that the use of these tools are not difficult, but are easy. All right. So that we will already be able to complete the two factors under technology acceptance model. So this brings me to my main point. So basically, the things that I've said a while ago are not yet the core of my talk. The core of my talk is actually leveraging AI tools for teacher productivity, and this is the topic that I'm going to be focusing for the main headline of integrating technology in education. So let me just share to you the objectives of my talk. Right at the end of the session, participants are expected to identify key AI tools that enhance teacher productivity. Of course, demonstrate the use of AI tools to creating teaching materials that streamline work processes, and then appreciate the role of technology as a partner in improving teaching efficiency while valuing teacher expertise. If you could notice, I'm actually using the key SA here: the knowledge, the skill, and attitude. All right. Now, these are just to give you an overview, these will be the tools that we are going to be focusing on, or the things, right? Rather, we will be kind of focusing on certain aspects such as lesson planning, slide deck creation, which is the answer to preparing lesson materials, and of course test generation, all of which will be covered or done, accomplished through the use of AI, particularly ChatGPT. Right. For lesson planning, we'll try to use ChatGPT in drafting objectives, activities, and assessments. And we'll also make use of ChatGPT for us to be able to draft the content of our slide deck. And of course, for test generation, we'll be utilizing ChatGPT for item creation and quizzes for interactive quizzes. Right? No, though our focus here is much of ChatGPT, but it doesn't mean that you can only do this through ChatGPT. Um, but on how we actually instruct the AI model would still be the same all throughout other variants, no may it be Gemini, DeepSeek, or any other AI models, right? But on our talk for today, we'll just be focusing on ChatGPT, all right? So that we will also be able to see that despite how complicated things are, um, we still can make use of ChatGPT for us to be helped with these things. And I'm also kind of biased with the use of ChatGPT. All right, so let's go ahead and get started, and let's focus on the lesson planning with ChatGPT. Now, every time I'm actually asked to talk about AI use in lesson planning, I always follow the what we call as my 5-step process. No, this is not supported by study, but this is based on experience, and my experience taught me um, that with the way how I actually outline it, I'm able to make the best out of the responses. So I have here 5 steps, no, in planning the lesson with ChatGPT. First would be, of course, to determine the cognitive demand of the learning competency. So I have a question. Do we always consider that when we deliver our lesson? Or we are just too focused on the available PowerPoints online or available lesson plans issued to us? Because I believe, I'm pretty sure everyone is aware that there are lesson exemplars, no, that's being disseminated from the national office. All right. But the question is, did we try to actually question and see if the items or the flow that they have recommended are actually aligned with the cognitive demand of the learning competency? So that's one. And then, of course, number two would be to unpack learning competency into sessions. Because you need to understand that, a learning competency can be of lower order, mid order, or higher order. So, meaning if the competency belongs to the lower order, meaning you only need less time to actually accomplish it. But if it's on the mid order, you would really need to unpack it. You need to unpack it. Say, for example, it's a mid order learning competency. You need to unpack it so that you will have learning competency that belongs to the lower, because obviously it's a staircase, right? One cannot just jump right into a mid-order skill without having to go through the first few steps, right? So that's number two, and path learning competency into sessions. No need to worry because later on I'm gonna go ahead and discuss each one of them in an in-depth manner. Number three will be to draft key sub objectives for each session, right? So of course, as teachers, we were taught that for every time that we, plan our lessons, we need to have key set objectives or the knowledge, skills, attitudes, and then the V for values, because the intention of curriculum makers is that we should be able to infuse in our lessons the four core, values of DepEd, which is makabayan, makabansa, makakalikasan, makatao. And then, of course, after that, draft the lesson plan for each session and obviously review and revise as necessary. So if you could take a look on the steps that I've outlined here, it's not really drafting the lesson directly. All right. So if you could notice, before you even attempt, to draft the lesson, you have to perform first the first 30, determining the cognitive demand. Number two is unpacking learning competency. All right. And number three, it's drafting key steps. So if you could notice on my topic right now, it's not only making use of technology or AI, it's already a combination of curriculum, all right, curriculum, and then later on we'll also talk about assessment, right? Curriculum in terms of how do we translate that into actual classroom experience. All right. So again, these are the 5 steps that I recommend when we plan lessons through the use of ChatGPT or even other AI models. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about each one of them. So let me start with the first one. The first one is um, determine cognitive demand of the learning competency. But before we proceed with that, I have here a quick reference ladder. All right. So I'm pretty sure we're kind of familiar with the low order, mid order. Actually, that's lower order, mid order, and higher order. Based on the Bloom's taxonomy, for the low order or lower order, we have remembering and understanding, right? And probably the verbs that we could connect these two for us to easily classify the cognitive level is if it's talking about identify, define, recall, and explain. This fall under lower order. And if we talk about the mid order, which accounts applying and analyzing, right? Then we can, consider the following words for us to easily classify. That would be apply, use, analyze, compare. Then, of course, for the higher order, which covers the evaluating and creating, right? So we can make use or refer to these keywords or verbs, evaluate, judge, design, and create. So my question is, are we taking into considerations the verbs used in the learning competency? Right. So please answer that within among yourselves. So say for example, in here, this is a learning competency, quarter one, for general science 11. So you might want to wonder, why is it general science 11? So are we talking about the science, no, for the senior high school? Yes. I'm sorry. All right. However, this is not the old, no. This is not the old curriculum, because the science for old curriculum is actually life, earth and life science, I believe, no. However, this is Gen Sci 11. This is a new curriculum for the strengthened senior high school curriculum, which we, our school pilot tested at the start of the school year 2025, 2026, and next year all senior high schools will be implementing the strengthened senior high school curriculum already, and you should be able to get acquainted with Gen Sci 11 already. Anyway, so for example, this is the um, the the learning competency. All right. Use information from secondary sources to report how Louis Pasteur combined research from the fields of chemistry and biology, which has helped scientists to understand the cause of some diseases and prevent infection. So if you could do this, this is one kind of a long learning competency. No? And the good thing about this is that it has already encompassed the topics. You don't even need to take a look at the topics to be covered because the learning competency already covers everything that is within its boundary. All right. So, how, of course, teachers as we are, of course, know how to determine, no, the cognitive level. But you also need to understand that some of the verbs that a learning competency may use can sometimes have a deeper meaning. All right. And that's the reason why we just do not rely on the first verb, but we actually need to read the learning competency for us to be able to really understand what's the intent of the competency. So for us to be helped with how to be able to determine the cognitive level, I have here a suggestion for the prompt. So let me just end this presentation so that I can easily copy, right, and paste text. All right, because I've said a while ago that we'll be utilizing ChatGPT. So let me get ready with ChatGPT. All right, so this is a free version. Oh, this is not the free version. Let me open the one that's truly a free version. Okay. So this is a free version. So meaning even if you're not subscribed to a Go plan or a Plus or a business plan, that you would still be able to get the same output. So what I will just do is I will copy, that. So meaning the only thing that will probably change here is right after the M dashes, right? Just this because that's the competency, but you can make use of the introductory instruction or prompt here. So I will just go ahead and copy that and then paste that to the prompt, right? It already has the instruction, determine the cognitive level of the competency. So let's just wait for ChatGPT to go ahead and give us the answer. The good thing about this is it's gonna justify as to why it decided to make use of whatever competency or cognitive level that is. And if you could notice in here, the cognitive level is best classified as analyze or understanding. Now, if that is the case, that it's talking of two different levels because analyze is the mid order and understanding is the lower order. So the best tendency is for you to make use or to focus on the higher, right? So in this case, that would be analysis. So, meaning, considering that it is the analysis or analyzing that is the one that's suggested, right? All right. So, meaning, you would now try to consider as to how are you going to unpack, right? Because like what I mentioned a while ago, if the learning competency only falls under low order, then by all means just focus on the competency. However, if the competency is of a mid order or even a high order or a higher order, then you have to make sure to provide scaffolding for your learners. That means to say that you would need to unpack the learning competency and make sure that you kind of make or draft a competency that would lead the learner to be able to obtain or achieve the intended competency per as outlined in the curriculum guide. So in here, we already have cognitive level, right? So it's analyzed. So given that it's analyzed, then let's go ahead and proceed to um, the next slide here. All right. So next is to unpack learning competency into sessions. All right. Now I have here a suggestion as well that if the learning competency that's being responded to by the AI shows understanding or remembering, all right, again, those fall under low order, then by all means, just focus on that in a single session, right? However, if it's a mid order, you have to make sure that you create a scaffolding by drafting another learning competency that would fall under low order. All right. So, meaning it would take you more time to actually deliver the lesson. You should not be just delivering that lesson in a single day because you need to scaffold. And in the event that that is high order, all right, this is what you need to put into your mindset. If it's a higher order, do not expect that the learner will be able to achieve that immediately. Because again, learning involves scaffolding. So meaning if there are three steps or there are if we have a staircase, the higher order will be on the third staircase, the mid order is on the second staircase, and the low order is on the first staircase. So meaning you cannot expect the learner to jump into the third staircase, right? Because the learner has to go through the first few steps for him or her to be able to achieve that competency or proficiency. So you really would have to unpack it in such a way that it would scaffold to the intended learning outcome. All right. So on this particular step, the unpacking of learning competency, you still could make use of ChatGPT to help you out with drafting it. So because the learning competency a while ago, this one is showing analysis, meaning it's on the mid order. So my prompt would be suggest a lower order competency for the competency, and then same, just copy that. If you want to improve the statement, that's up to you. But the logic there is the same, which is to kind of let AI suggest for you a lower order. So meaning if the result of your step number one shows um, it shows higher order, then all you have to do is modify this prompt. You could suggest or you could write suggest a lower order competency and a mid order competency for this competency, and just paste, the competency as outlined in the curriculum guide. So in my case, I'm just gonna go ahead and copy this, right? And then I'll just put in that to the chat box. And then, of course, let ChatGPT do the rest. Okay. All right. So if you could notice in here, the um, the the final or the expected outcome is for them to be able to use the information from secondary sources. So that is analysis, and therefore that's on the mid order. But the question is, how would they be able to do that if they don't have yet the information, right? It's a good thing that when I plug that in here, ChatGPT stipulated that um, because that level is actually mid order, then he or the model can suggest, understand, or remember, no, by reducing the need to integrate ideas across fields or explain impact. So the suggested learning competency, which would be the first step towards being able to achieve the mid-order competency, is to describe Louis Pasteur's contribution to the study of disease using information from secondary resources. All right. So, meaning before they're gonna be able to actually use it, for them to be able to share it or to write that on an output, they really would need to know first, right? They need to be able to describe that first. And if you could notice, this is a good uh lower order competency that they can use, right? And there's also suggestions, and it's up to you now as to which from between the two would you use, or from among if there are a lot, right? There's also an explanation, right, that would guide you whether or not you go ahead and actually consider that. So I have here now the first competency, meaning since I have the mid-order competency of using information, I know how to, because I prepared or I asked ChatGPT to make one for the lower order. So meaning at least I have two sessions to discuss, right? Or to run the lesson. Day one will be focused on this, the describe Louis Pasteur's contribution, the unpack learning competency, and then the next day or the next session, I can go ahead and focus, right? I can focus on the other competency, which is the main, no? This one, the use of information. All right. So see how amazing it is to actually make use of AI. Planning the lesson will no longer be that tedious because there's going to be suggestion. And I know that a lot of you has been using already AI to plan the lesson, but as an improvement or as an enhancement, it would be better to go ahead and go through, the steps, right? Which is determining first the cognitive demand, because if you would just say, create a lesson plan for the competency use of information, it's actually kind of vague. And, the AI might provide you incoherent response, right? And then the- you believe that it's actually a good output. You just went ahead and copied it. But when you kind of deliver that in the lesson, you would actually notice that it was not working, right? And that is because you were not so specific with your prompts. And it's the reason why that the AI also gave you something that is kind of incoherent and not practical. So you really would need to have or to go through each of the steps. All right. So we're actually done with step number two. That's unpacking learning competency into sessions. All right. So we're able, because the focus competency here belongs to the mid order. So after I plug it in through ChatGPT, it actually suggested me an additional competency, right, that belongs to the lower order. So once you're done with step number two, which is unpacking, you can go ahead and proceed to the third, right, which is drafting key sub objectives for each session. So meaning I need to prepare one lesson plan for session one, and then one lesson two for session number two. So I just made use of ellipsis because that was too long. All right. So what's going to happen in here is you would need to draft, but then again, you don't need to do it yourself, right? You could make use of ChatGPT or any other AI to help you out with drafting the objectives. And I have here a suggested prompt, and you would need to do this per session, not for all sessions, because again, from what I've observed, Chat GPT or any other AI, if you would put a lot of you if you would prompt for a lot of tasks to be done, tendency is it's not going to give you a very worthy result, no. So it is much better to actually do it on a step by step basis. For step number three, we can have one session at a time. All right. right? But because doing two sessions at a time, it may provide you a less coherent or less applicable or lesser applicable result. Okay, so by drafting the case of objectives, I have here the suggested prompt. Say, for example, I'm gonna make use of the session one, all right? So basically, it has been changed now because we are supposed to be using describe. So I'll just replace here, all right? Okay, and then of course, I will replace the one in here. Okay, so my full prompt will now be draft key sub-objectives for the session, describe Louis Pasteur's contribution to the study of disease using information from secondary sources. So if you could notice, after the competency, I went ahead and added another sentence. This is another prompt. The values objective should be aligned with a depth and core value. So meaning it's only a single one, not all of the four adapt a core value, one focus objective each. So what happens here is that if you would actually make use of ChatGPT when drafting objectives, more or less it would give you about two or three objectives, no, per knowledge, skills, or values, or skills. So what we stipulated in here is that there's only one focus objective each. And on top of that, to make use of values objective to be aligned with depth and core value. So let me go ahead and just copy that and paste that here. All right, and then hit on the submit button. Okay, so right now I already have the session objectives, particular to the focused session. Knowledge describe Louis Pasteur's major contribution to the study of disease using information from secondary sources. Skills would be extract and organize relevant information from secondary sources to clearly present Louis Pasteur's scientific contributions. And then attitudes will be to demonstrate curiosity and interest in how scientific discoveries help explain diseases and improve human health. And of course, the core value, makatao, show appreciation for scientific work that promotes human health and well-being. So if you can notice, it's already a good output. And that's up to you should you wish to make modifications on the suggested session objectives. All right. So we are actually done with step number three, which is drafting. So just imagine how long did it take us to actually reach step number three, right? Right, just in a short amount of time. So we can now proceed to the next step, which is drafting a lesson plan from the focused session. Say, for example, you already have here, so let's just try to change it. Okay. So this is my technique when I'm pasting so that it will not really change the format. I'll just kind of add that to a currently ongoing text, and then I'll just make use of keep text only and then delete the previews. That way I don't need to apply formatting again, and it may be difficult for me to actually take a look at the or to identify, the size or the color or the font face. So that is what I normally do, and you could, kind of do the same thing for you to be able to save time. Okay, so I already have here, right, the key sub objectives. So this is under step draft the lesson plan for the focus session. So let's go ahead and move on. Let me just copy this and then paste that here. Okay. Now for the draft the lesson plan for the focus session, all right, it's actually a long prompt, and that is because I am so specific with the parts. If you could take a look at this, I am using basically the 5A's, for my lesson. So if you want to go ahead and make use of 4A's or the E's, for example, and all you have to do is make modifications on the suggested prompt. So in here, what I did is I just prompted draft a lesson plan relative to session objectives below. Consider the following. This is for a 1 hour session. This is to be taught in grade 11. Then for the activity session, so this is the first A. I'm suggesting to use think, pair, and share. The main activity question should be the bridge to the focus session topic, right? So it would give them, kind of a general idea, right? And then the analysis section suggests questions that would process learners' responses in the activity session and lead to the focus session topic. All right. I know that for some of us, we may have issues with actually what to put in the activity and what to put in the analysis. No. All right. If you could notice when you plan, I'm pretty sure you've encountered this, wherein you plan something, prepare your lesson plan, but during the actual delivery of the lesson, you kind of feel that the responses of the learners in the analysis section are but the same things that you will discuss in the abstract, and that is already a double effort, right? And it's something that would really take much time. So this is just a suggestion, and this is based on the instructional flow that I actually developed. I have a research on this on how on a particular instructional flow in developing a lesson particular to grade 11, and I'll share that later. So this is the flow here in the activity section, so that everyone would have the opportunity to participate, because if you just do that per group, no, or not all will be able to participate. But if it's a think, pair, share, there's higher chance that they would be talking with each other, right? And so they will be able to actually participate on their own, right? So that's for the activity session. So the instruction here is that the main activity question should bridge the focused session topic. So it's kind of general question, so that they will be able to elicit prior knowledge, right? They would share, and of course, part of that will be to allow a pair to share to the class their responses, probably 3 pairs, right? And the teacher will just take note of what has been shared, so that on the analysis section, all right, you know, the I will be suggesting ChatGPT to suggest questions that would process learners' responses in the activity session and lead to the focus session topic. So what would happen here is that I'll be asking questions after the chosen pairs are going to share their output. I'll be asking questions that would allow me to bridge the responses to the actual session topic of the day, right? And then for the abstraction section, just display a bite-sized concept notes. This is focused on the knowledge objective. So if you could notice in here, the parts of the lesson are kind of really focused on particular objectives that we have developed. All right, and it's only bite-sized. Why? Because that's the intention of us doing lessons. If you could notice, no, um, the indicator or objective one in our class observation is to make use of the knowledge content within and across curriculum. But it doesn't mean that you have to go through another subject just for you to be able to present that, right? Or to manifest that. Because based on the features of practice, all you have to do is to show in-depth knowledge, right, about the content. So if you will paste everything in your PowerPoint, right? If I were your assessor, I will not give you 7 or 6, right? For that particular objective, because you've already shown everything, and that's not a manifestation of an in-depth knowledge. So it's just going to be bite-sized concept notes, so that you will just make use of that as contents for your slide, and then it's going to be the teacher's part, 15 minutes or so, to be able to explicate, elaborate on those concepts. All right. And then for the application section, I stipulated or indicated in here that it should be a group activity. And this is focused on the skill and attitude which is timely, right? Because the to us is the objective and the attitude and how they're going to be able to actually work with groups, right? And then for the assessment section, it should be a three item multiple choice aligned with the knowledge and skills objectives. So if you could notice, it's kind of always stringing to the objectives that's set so that you can end the session with being able to really hit your objectives. And not just that you wrote them, but if we try to analyze, it's not really being done or implemented or even manifested. And then we have here the conclusion section, suggest a challenge code relative to the value objective so that we'll be able to really see if they're able to relate to the topic of the day. So what will just happen is I will copy that, all right, and then paste that here. Okay, and then just go ahead and click that. So it's gonna provide you, right, a detailed lesson plan, even learning resources, right? Even providing you teacher ask, why do you think people today are more protected from infectious diseases compared to people hundreds of years ago? So it says here, right? Today we'll learn about the scientists whose discoveries help us. If you could notice, it's already trying to connect, all right? Here. And then again, you could modify. So we have here the analysis, and then we have the transition, right? And then this will be the only thing that you will put in your slides, the ones that you will take note of, right? Because that's relative to the knowledge objective, right? And then, of course, you could proceed with the applications to group activity. So there's already a suggestion as to what kind of activity you're going to do, right? So it says here each group receives a short secondary source, meaning the teacher would provide, all right? But if you're having a hard time, generating that, you could also ask ChatGPT to do that for you. But if you have a book, right, or a journal that you could share, then that would be better. So the task would be to extract the most important information about Louis Pasteur and organize it into a simple concept map or bullet summary, right? And then you have specific as to what's going to be shown, right, on the output. All right. So you can, provide them time or allow them time to do that. And then afterwards, you can have, two or three groups to present and of course, process it. All right. So that after you can have your assessment. So there's already a good assessment here with suggested answer keys, right? For the items, you can just copy that and, kind of paste that, right, to a PowerPoint, one item at a time, one item per slide at a time. All right. And then there's a conclusion. So you kind of prepare a slide, and all you have to do is put this particular code. Science serves humanity best when it's used to protect the life and promote the well being. So you can ask learners as to what's the reflection on this, right? But what I do in my class, usually do, is that I'm actually allowing them to always prepare a yellow sheet of paper, right? And they will just go ahead and kind of take note, right, the concept notes there, right? And also they would write their answers to the assessment in there, right? And then I'll have them write a 2 to 3 sentence reflection on the challenge code, right? And so that everyone will be able to participate, right? And then afterwards, I will kind of end, as future citizens and possible scientists, how can you use knowledge to protect the human health, right? So if you could notice here, this is kind of creative already, and it's kind of complete because it has provided you the full-blown lesson plan. And that's up to you now as to if you would go ahead and actually just copy paste it, or make modifications, because on my fifth step, is this my fifth? Yeah, this is supposed to be fifth. My fifth step is for you to go ahead and review and revise as necessary. You need to understand that we should not all be full reliant, to AI models, because we should not discount the fact that as teachers, we're the masters of the topic. And so it is necessary for us to go through each of the responses from ChatGPT or from any AI for us to, apply cognitive thinking and see if those responses are actually aligned, actually factual, right? And are actually necessary. So, meaning, if there are some suggestions that are not necessary, you feel that these are not necessary to your intention, then you can go ahead and eliminate it. For example, um, in here, it appears to me that the introduction is kind of long, so I can go ahead and probably just eliminate it. No, I can skip through introduction. For the introduction, I can just go ahead and do the preliminary tasks, and then just proceed with the activity for the think, pair, and share. So that's up to you. All right. So that's the reason why. Again, you should not be at all fully reliant to the responses of the AI. You still would need to make use of your expertise, right? To make corrections with critique, right? With the critique and request revision as necessary. So, for example, you feel that there's something wrong with a part of the lesson plan, then you could just ask ChatGPT to modify that or suggest another. Or, if you could just change it yourself, then that's better, right? So that is how we actually kind of um prepare a lesson plan. So let's just have a review, right? So again, there are 5 steps that I'm suggesting here. First is to determine the cognitive demand of the learning competency. And the reason why it's important is for us to be able to help us unpack the learning competency into sessions, which is step number 2. Um, so that once you're able to unpack the learning competency into sessions, then you can go ahead and proceed with drafting the key SAV objectives for each of the session. All right. So that once you already have the key SAV objectives for each session, then you can go ahead and proceed with drafting the lesson plan. And you can make use, no? You can make use of the flow that I've suggested, probably using the 5 A's or 4 A's. The one that I presented is 5 A's. So if you feel that you're so good, you're kind of biased with the E's, the 5 E's or 6 E's, or the 4 A's, and all you have to do is kind of just delete the others or the other parts that you deem as not necessary, so that once done, you can go ahead and perform. The fifth one, which is revise, review, and revise as necessary. So again, we should not be at all reliant to the responses of the AI model. We also need to consider our expertise. We need to infuse that. We should be critics ourselves with the result, so that we will be able to um, further do contextualization if it's necessary, and so that we'll be really be able to improve it. The good thing right now is that it's not going to take much time, right? So just kind of allow ChatGPT to produce the responses, and your job will now just be a critique in probably suggesting for modification, or you modify that yourself. So I hope that it helped you, right? I hope that it helped you provide or gain knowledge or skills, no, on how to be able to efficiently use AI in planning your lesson, right? So I hope that that part actually gave you insights on how to further take advantage of ChatGPT in helping you out with your lessons. Okay. Can I get a reaction if that topic was actually kind of helpful? Oh, it's a good thing, no, that the moderators already enabled the chat panel. So if you have questions, right, you can make use of that channel chat panel and send a message. And yeah, so that I'll be able to address that along the way. Okay, right. But if you want to send a message right now, please make use of that chat panel, so I'll be able to actually help or answer those questions. All right, so we're done with the first objective, which is to plan the lesson using ChatGPT, and we'll proceed with the next objective, right? The next objective basically is to how to create slide deck with ChatGPT, right? Because one of the things that you actually shared a while ago is that it would take you some time to actually create your materials, and I'm pretty sure materials um, are kind of actually difficult, especially if it's a new curriculum and the books are not yet available, or the teacher's manual or the text no, are not yet available. So here are three steps that I am suggesting for you to prepare the lesson materials, as well as the important thing no, nowadays, your slide deck, or what you will use in the lesson delivery. All right. So I have three steps here. First would be to prompt to outline your slides based on the lesson plan generated. Second is so eliminate that. Okay. Copy the outline and then revise as necessary. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look on the first first step, which is prompting ChatGPT to outline your slides based on the lesson plan. So if you could notice in here, we already have the lesson flow, right? We've generated the lesson flow. So because we're done generating the lesson flow, we can just instruct, ChatGPT, provide this prompt to draft slide outline from this instructional flow. So just kind of paste that, all right? Okay. So what happens in here is that you already have suggestions of contents per slide. Okay. So after this, no? So if you could notice, we will no longer have that much time contemplating as to what I would need to write, what I would need to write, or to outline in my presentation. So if you could notice, it's not giving a lot of details, because what is expected is that it's going to be the teacher who's gonna provide details, particularly on slide 6, the lesson focus, up until the slide 8. So if you're gonna be able to explicate it, if you're gonna be able to elaborate it, if I were your, if I am your observer, I'd definitely provide you higher points, particular to the first objective or indicator, which is to um, apply curriculum within across curriculum intents. Okay, all right. So what you can do is you could either just prepare the PowerPoint, all right, and then just copy each, or you could also actually ask. Let me see. You could actually ask, ChatGPT to download a PowerPoint file. So that's already the slide. So you can just instruct to download PowerPoint file. So what's going to happen is that ChatGPT will generate the PowerPoint slides for you, so that all you have to do is make modifications. So meaning you're not going to start from scratch. Normally it would take some time, right? Because it's going to create the file. So all we have to do is actually wait for it. So while waiting, I'll introduce you to another AI tool that you could actually make use of. So if you could notice in here, you already have the slides, right? So considering that you have slides now, what you can do is just copy it, no? And you could either go to Canva, but Canva is not so friendly in terms of generating. It would appear that it would only suggest the design, the template, but not so much of really putting slide contents to each of the slides, unless of course you'll be utilizing a pro, right? Since we're not advocating the pro here, let's just kind of make use whatever is it that's available that we can use. But let me see, because it appears that we're done. Okay, so it's done. Let's just focus first on the PowerPoint. Hmm. So if you could notice, there's already the slides there. So all you have to do is download it so that you'll be able to see the PowerPoint. So you now have the PowerPoint, but if you could notice, it's so simple. So what you can just do is that if you have a template, or a theme you could apply it, right? Because what happens here is that you can go to design, and if you have a stored template, all you have to do is actually choose. Say, for example, I want to choose this because I love the color, or this one. So just apply that. And then you could also go ahead and apply the suggested designer suggestions. So that's up to you. So for example, that or session objectives here, I'm going to allow the app to provide. So that, right? Motivation. So that, okay, that's up to you, right? Depending. And then if you're not okay with how it's being outlined there, you can make modifications, right? So that's what you can do. You can just request ChatGPT to outline, the slides relative to your plan. So that of course it will just be streamlined. However, if you're not okay with utilizing the PowerPoint, here is another AI that you can use. We have GenSpark, all right? We have GenSpark. So let me just log in. GenSpark is straightforward. All you have to do is, sign in or sign up if you don't have an account yet. And then all you have to do is, select this. So go to AI slides. So you'll be redirected to the page wherein you can kind of prepare the slides, and you can paste, you know, just paste everything that you copied from ChatGPT here, the slide outline, right? And then just click on that, and then just wait. From my experience, it would take some time because it would actually kind of improve the contents of your slide. It would also look for icons in designs that it could think of to be able to apply that to your slides. The thing here with GenSpark is that it has credits, I believe. It works in credits. So for now, I have about 200 credits, and I'm not sure as to how the credits are computed, but this is my second time creating already. All right. This is the second time, and it's still working. So meaning I'm able to actually um, create a lot of contents given the 200 credits. So let's just wait for that and see how it pans out as to what's going to be the look. But let me see if I'll be able to actually access the one that I've created before. There's no template here. It's not here. So let me check and see. It's not in here. So let me go to home. Uh, I really cannot access the one that I created. But let me see on the, okay, I have here the one that I created, the 29th of January. So all I did is paste, right? And then if you could notice in here, this is already the PowerPoint slides, no? Right? So it provided everything, the pictures, the design, up to the last portion. And then you can just go ahead and actually export that so that you'll be able to kind of download or, oh, you need to pay. But let me see, there's none. So probably you can just make use here, right? If you could notice, this is the preview already. Just go ahead and click on play slides, and that's going to be your PowerPoint. Okay? This auto-generated for you, and all you had to do was just copy, right? From here, the one that you outlined, and pasted that um, to the GenSpark AI. So that's how easy it is. So for those who actually answered a while ago that it would take time to kind of prepare the lesson materials, here's the answer. No, so all you have to do is to really have a good plan, and then once you're able to determine that it's a good plan already, that you could ask the AI to generate the slide deck outline for you, right? So that after it has provided you the outline, you can just copy the outline, and then yeah. First is that you can ask ChatGPT to download a PowerPoint version of that outline. And if you're not satisfied, then you can go ahead and copy the whole outline, go to GenSpark, select AI slides, and then paste the outline, and it's going to go ahead and do those things for you, right? And again, that was the example. This is one thing that I did 2 days ago. I may not be able to export it because I need to have a plus subscription. But anyway, you can play, right? You can play the slides. So that is what all matters. Okay. And then you can use that already for your lesson. So how amazing, right? So it's so amazing. You're no longer going to be dredged to do a lot of work. It's just for the preparation, because what you just need to do is simple. First is you plan the lesson, all right? And you follow those steps that I've indicated. And then after you're sure that the lesson flow is already okay, then you can ask, the AI to kind of outline the slide deck for you, so that you have two options: to download it as a PowerPoint file and apply themes to beautify it or to improve aesthetics, or to just copy paste the outline and go to GenSpark AI, and ask AI to create the PowerPoint slides for you, so that it's going to provide you a contextualized design based on the content, and you wouldn't have to think, right, as to what's going to be the next design for the next slide. So that's the good thing about it. So I hope that actually answered, right? Answered, your plea on how to be able to kind of um, prepare lesson material. So we've already covered as to how to draft a slide deck, but I'm pretty sure you would still say, what about the secondary material based on the plan? Because, right, on the plan here, there should be on the particular to application, there is a notion about um, secondary source about Louis Pasteur. So what you can do, if you really would love to have AI generate that for you, uh, you can just copy that, right? And then suggest make 3 sources relative to this, right? You can just instruct it that way or prompt it that way, so that it's gonna give you sources, right? Or if you have access to journals, you could also ask ChatGPT, suggest journals or sources to source materials from relative to this. And then just, kind of wait for ChatGPT to provide you, right? So it's gonna provide you actually a lot of options. But if you could notice in here, there's no links. So you can just provide links to these sources. All right. But let me just put this into context. If you be providing them links, it would actually, it would actually result to you a lot to you making a lot of prints, because if you access Britannica, there's actually a lot of pages, right? Or go to biography, right? So you can just print that, or if they have access to phones, you can go ahead and make use of those information, right? So there. So if you can notice in here, it's all about really being able to provide the right prompts, no, for you to get the expected result. Now I am getting an alarm here that it's 9:50, and based on the plan, we should be in a break mode. So for now, let's pause for about 10 minutes, a wellness break at that, so that you can go to the comfort rooms or restrooms if you need to. So please be back here at 10 a.m. Thank you so much.
So thank you so much, Doc. So let's have a short break. Okay, so welcome back everyone and thank you for being on time. I hope the break gave you a moment to recharge. So as we continue, I will give again the floor to our respective resource speaker, Dr. Inad. Hi, Doc.
Thank you so much, ma'am, Amy. Yes, right. I hope that the break a while ago was an opportunity for you to make some reflections, and so that we'll be able to make the next phase of this talk more meaningful. All right. So basically, let me just give a brief background as to what transpired a while ago. No, so what we did is we made use of ChatGPT for us to be able to draft our slide deck. And again, the most important thing here is that it's going to be sequential. So you need to have the plan first being generated so that once the plan is already okay, right? So you can go ahead and ask ChatGPT or whatever AI model that is to outline the slides based on the lesson plan, so that after the outline has been generated, then you have the option to either just kind of instruct ChatGPT to download a PowerPoint version of that outline, so that once you downloaded it, you can just go ahead and apply themes and designs, whatever suits your needs. Or if you would like to make it more aesthetic, right, and interactive and basically captivating, you can make use of the GenSpark AI, right? And all you have to do is you click on AI slide, and then on the prompt box, all you have to do is paste all the slide outline, so that the GenSpark AI could generate the output for you. Okay. So let me take a look first on the output. No? Tanaw na to. Well, let's go ahead and take a look as to what's the result. No? So if you could notice in here, it appears that we're done. So that's the generated. Is this the one? Let me see. Here. All right. This is what has been created before I opened the previously drafted or generated. No. So if you could notice in here, there's really a good result with lots of pictures, with icons, right? Which is not boring, right? Okay. So up until the end portion. So once that's done, we can just go ahead and kind of export this. But then again, we don't have the plus version or pro version for us to download it. But you can still make use of the presentation view and make use of that in your class. Okay. And for as long as you're able to load this already, you don't actually need connection. Just make sure you don't refresh the page so it will not call again the source. So you can just, make sure that everything is loaded herein so that once done, you can just click on play slides. So if there's no internet connection at the classroom, it would still be okay. All right. So I hope that addresses, right, your long for a way to be able to create slides and lesson materials. All right. And again, you could make use of the AI again to kind of create additional materials for you. Say, for example, sources. And of course, you can ask ChatGPT or AI to generate that source for you so that it will become the basis for our learners to use and be able to do the application phase. Or if you want that, the learners would really access real-time sources, you could also suggest ChatGPT to provide you with good sources. So example is in here. So I suggested it to source it from journals or other sources. It has a suggestion, but since there's no link, I instructed further to provide the links to these sources. So I have here the link, so I can just click that open and then print it, and that's what I will provide in the class for the learners to use for the application activity. So I hope that this is of a great help to all the teachers participating. And again, there are just three suggested steps here, which is to outline or prompt to outline, copy the outline, and kind of paste that to GenSpark AI, or you could just ask ChatGPT to download a PowerPoint version. But the last thing here is revise as necessary. So if you feel that there's something wrong with the content, it's not factual, or it might be a result of what we call as the AI hallucination. AI hallucination, by the way, is a phenomenon wherein the AI will just make up information or texts just to be able to provide you an answer, right? It's kind of behaving like a human. If you don't know something, you kind of make one. So that's the same thing for AI. If it doesn't know, it could kind of, it has a tendency to make up information just to be able to provide you something as a response. So that's about it for the slide deck creation. So can I get a reaction and see if you think that that particular session was useful for you as teachers? And we get reactions. Okay, we have a lot of reactions about it. So hopefully you're able to actually kind of assimilate, no, the things that we have covered. So right now we're on the next phase because or next objective because we had three objectives a while back, right? And we're done with the first two objectives. So the third objective was for us to actually generate quizzes through ChatGPT and Quiz. So it's going to be a combination because ChatGPT will be the ones to provide us the question items as well as the options and even the answer keys. And then we'll have Quiz to host it for us. So it will become more interactive and dynamic for our learners. So I also have three steps here to follow. First is the prompting ChatGPT to make test items based on the learning competency. All right. And then number two would be to prompt ChatGPT to make an import file for the quiz is application. And number three is to import it to quiz is. So let's talk first about the first one. All right. So prompt ChatGPT to make the test items based on the learning competency. So I also have here a suggestion. All right. Because when we ask ChatGPT to write questions, we just don't simply ask ChatGPT to write that for us. Again, we have to be very cognitive inclined in terms of asking ChatGPT to generate that for us. Right. Again, we need to determine what the learning competency is. So here is my suggestion, and this is based on Depart Order number 8, series 2015, because I know that it's still in practice, wherein if we are to make a quiz, that we need to have kind of 60% easy, and then 30% average, and then 10% difficult. But if you are actually to analyze that, what if the competency is a hot one, meaning if you will still follow the 60-30-10 ratio, you are deviating from the original goal of the competency, because the original goal of the competency is to assess at a higher level. However, you are following the 60-30-10. So this it's a deviation, and that's a breach of trust, no, so to speak, from the learners, because you are not assessing them based on the cognitive level. And it appears that that's one of the reasons why that the Philippines is performing poorly in terms of international assessments and even for local assessments. Why? Because international assessments are standard. So meaning it is aligned with the learning competency. So meaning if the learning competency is asking for evaluating, then the way how questions are being written are of those types as well, right? But since we're not doing that in schools, that's the reason why the learners are not so used to it, you know? And so I believe it's the reason why we're failing or performing poorly in international assessments. And I can even observe that in DSAIL. No, the DSAIL is the, like what I mentioned a while ago, it's like the division version of NAT, or the National Achievement Test, right? But it's contextualized. So at the start of the school year, I would kind of select test writers for us to go ahead and implement test items based on cognitive level, all right? And then after doing that, we do quality assurance. And then after everything is done for the preparation, we conduct the pre-test. And based on results, we are doing poorly in pre-tests. And then we had the full school year to make remediation or interventions. And then we will conduct a post-test. And based on the last school year's report, even though it's a post-test, most of the schools are really poorly performing. We're seeing mean percentage scores of just around 50 to 60. And we all know that the planning standard is always 75. So meaning not all learners are actually able to kind of achieve that. And that is a manifestation that there's something wrong with how we really assess. And that's the reason why our learners are also performing poorly in these kinds of assessments. And I'm pretty sure that you have seen reports for NAT as well, and NAT or National Achievement Test is also not performing well. It may just be around an average of 50 to 60, which is below the planning standards. So what I have here right now is a suggestion on how for you to go ahead and frame your assessments, right? So I have here suggestions. Say, for example, the learning competency as stipulated in the curriculum guide is of a low order. So meaning if you have 10 item test, all of those 10 items will be of low order. So meaning it can just be a focus on remembering or understanding. However, right, if the less learning competency falls under mid order, you it doesn't mean that you need to focus all questions to just the mid order level. You also infuse it or integrate it with the ones that fall under low order. So for a 10 item test, if for example you'd like to prepare 10 item, then you have to integrate it with 3 item low. So it can be a combination of understanding and remembering, and there will be seven mid. It can be a combination of applying and analyzing, or that depends if what the competency calls for. If it says applying, then seven items will be for applying because applying is next to understanding. But if it is analyzing, so you can have, if there are seven items allocated for mid order, you can have four items for analyzing and then three items for applying. Now, in the event that it's going to be high order, so you would need, just like what we mentioned during the planning, there should be scaffolding, right? So you need to include a mid order and a low order. My suggestion is that if you have a 10 item test, so probably you have two low level items. So it can be one item for remembering, one item for understanding. And then for the mid, there are three item allocations. So you can probably have one applying and then two analyzing. And then for the high, that depends now if it's evaluating or creating, creating being the highest level. So if it's creating, then you can have three items for creating and two for evaluating. But in the event that the learning competency falls under evaluating, then you can have five items just for evaluating. So these are my suggestions so that we really would be able to give justice to the learning competency. So we teach them based on learning competency. What does it need to be delivered in the class? And of course, we need to assess them rightfully based on the cognitive demand. And these are my suggestions as to how we can go ahead and do it. So you go ahead and prompt ChatGPT to make test items based on the learning competency. So I have here a simple prompt. So let's see. Yeah. So, for example, this is the learning competency and the cognitive level is mid-order applying. So, what I will go ahead and do is to actually prompt ChatGPT to do the same. No, I'll say, given the learning competency below, draft 10 item multiple choice questions, two items lower order cognitive level, three items mid-order cognitive level, and five items higher order cognitive level. Now, since this is mid order, so because it's the previous, the one that we have asked ChatGPT to generate was like it was, let me take a look. It was actually analyzing. So I'm gonna go ahead and modify that. This is analyzing now. So here, what I can go ahead and do is to make modifications on the prompt because it's analyzing, meaning it's three steps higher than remembering. Okay, so I can go ahead and make modification. And just tailor it to the requirement. So I have three items and seven items, right? So lower order cognitive level, I can add, right? One understanding, I'm sorry, one remembering, right? Two understanding. Yeah, for the seven items, I could go ahead and break it down to three applying and then four analyzing because it falls under analyzing. Okay. So what I can do is I can just copy that, right? And then paste that here. So of course, when I'm assessing, I'm no longer going to be basing on the sessions, right? Because this is summative. I'll be focusing on the main cognitive demand. Okay, so let me just click that and see as to what's going to be the result. All right. So a good thing here is that it's able to generate the questions already aligned to the cognitive demands. So because I instructed that there should be three items for the lower order cognitive level, and I specified that there should be one item for remembering. So it gave me that multiple choice question, and I have two for understanding. So it actually followed my instructions. And then for the mid order, seven items, three items for applying. So I have here three items for applying, and then another four items for analyzing. So if you can notice, you don't have to actually go through a lot of times just for you to be able to generate these things, right? So all you have to do is just basically, use the right prompts. So again, I'd like to highlight that it's all about the prompts and prompts that are specific, not generic. And that's the reason why I gave you steps. Because if you will just, kind of do it all at once, do not expect a good, right? Do not expect a good response or output from the AI. Okay. So we're done with step number one. Again, you can just make modifications based on the cognitive demand. So that was the technique there, right? And I'd like to highlight again that it would be best to really have a good combination of the different cognitive levels when we're assessing based on the cognitive demand of the learning competency. That way, we are able to give justice, no, to the learning competency set forth by the curriculum developers. Because if the curriculum guide or learning competency stipulated that it's going to be of analyzing and your questions will just be focused on remembering that it's not giving due justice to the curriculum makers as well as justice to your learners. Because why? Because if you're only assessing at a lower level, they might be able to get good scores. And if that happens, they will get good grades. But the question is the good grade justifiable based on the cognitive demand? So that's the question that each of us teachers must answer. So given that we should, provide the learning experience as required by the curriculum based on the cognitive level. And of course, we assess our learners based on the cognitive level demand of that particular competency. And this is a good combo to use when assessing. All right. So again, what I just did here is make modifications given that this is analyzing, right? It was analyzing in the previous slide. This is a different example. All right. So just make modifications in here and be very specific as to how many items would you want, all right, for each of the levels. And then just paste in the learning competency. And then, it's going to be the AI who's going to do the rest of the items for you. All right. So that once you're done with the second instruction, what you would need to do is to suggest for AI to generate or make an import file for Quiz is. So what is Quiz is before we'll touch base on that? Quiz is basically a web application. Actually, it's already renamed as Wayground, but you can still access Quiz is using the old address. So that will be quiz is. So that's quiz and then izz.com. Then try to open it. You'll get redirected to wayground.com. So all you have to do is sign up if you haven't signed up yet. Or if you already have an account, you can make use of sign in. So I'll just make use of this account. So that once I'm in, what I can do is I can go ahead and just answer some questions. So it's K to 12. I'm a teacher, classroom teacher. Just answer those questions. So then it'll be saved. Okay. And then you can just skip that. Let me check. Let me see if my school is here. So if you cannot, or let me just check, San Agustin National High School. Uh, so if you can find it, you can just add it. Wala siya. It's not in there, so just click on that part. And then just answer whatever is it that's aligned to you. So I'm just gonna make use here of science, and then I'll use 11 because my focus is science. So I can just go ahead and answer it the way I want it to be answered. Okay. What's important here is that you can go here. This is the dashboard. All right. So if you're ready to actually create, your assessment, so what you can just do is click on create a source, or you can go to my library. That's going to be the same, and just click on add source. But you can just, start directly from here. So just click that. And what you will notice is that there's a lot of options. You can actually create flashcards here. You can create video. You can even create presentations if you want to. All right. And then, since our goal is to go ahead and create a quiz or assessment, so let's just check assessment. So in here, you have three options, right? So you have import, generate with AI, and then create from scratch. Of course, if it's create from scratch, you would need to encode it. But what about if you have 100 items? So that would be too tiresome, right? And for generate AI, it may not be aligned to the real intent. So considering that we already have here the items, what we can go ahead and do is let's just click on import, right? Now on the import, what you would need to select is spreadsheet so that we will have a good template. All right. So if you could notice in here for the instruction, there's download template. So just click on that so that you'll be able to see the template as to the structure, the format. So let's just wait for it to be open. Okay. So right now, what happens here is that here's the template, and what you would need to go ahead and do is actually fill this out. Fill this out with the question as well as the items as well as the correct answer. But for the correct answer, you would need to actually stipulate what number would that be and the time in seconds. All right. So what's going to happen here is that my usual way so that ChatGPT will be able to determine the structure is I would paste this or copy that. All right. So convert or format into a quiz is assessment using the template C image. So you could instruct it that way. So it will kind of follow that is the flow, right? Or the structure. So just click on that and wait for ChatGPT to go ahead and do that for you. Okay, so if you can notice in here, it's kind of creating that for you already. So yeah, so you don't need to actually retype or copy paste that piece of paper. If you want to make use of that on a bond paper, that's up to you. But if you have technology in the classroom, you could also make use of this. So we have here the items, and what I can do is instruct download as CSV, right? So even if it has wrong spelling there, it would still process the indicator. If it says analyzing, it's already drafting, or making the file for you that you can just download later. Okay, so let's just wait for that to be done. It would take about less than a minute to basically finish that. But since this is a free account for ChatGPT, it may kind of take some time, right? Not the same as that of Plus accounts or Go accounts. The Plus accounts, I believe it's around 999 pesos per month, and then the Go account is around 300. But that is worth investing because it basically help you out with lessening the effort and the time in the preparation. But if you cannot wait, for example, right? So I have here the 10 items, no? It's complete. I can actually copy this and then I can just right click and paste special and then text. Oh, it did not follow it. So probably here, copy table. There, all right? So just paste it and then replace the ones here, values, then delete that. And then for this, you don't have the picture, delete that. If you need explanation, then fill that out. If you don't, just delete. So what matters here is that you have values basically for the question text, the question type, the option, and then the correct answer, the number, right? So if you want to go ahead and change the time to just make it 30 for all, just make modifications, and then just save it. So once you save that, all you need to do is go to Wayground here and then upload from device, and then upload the ones that you saved a while ago using the template, right? And just wait for it to be synchronized. So if you can notice, it looks good. So meaning there's nothing wrong. So it's good. Proceed to continue. All right. So once you have that, you already have the list of questions, right? You have the list of questions and then the answer key. And then you can rename that probably Jan Sci 11. This is Q1 week 1. You can name it that way. Week 1 quiz. Right. And then just choose, and you could also add a cover image, but it's not important to save it. All right. And then publish. So right now I'm allowed to create 1/20. So I still have, I just need to delete the previous one so I can create another one, right? So the good thing about this is that you could download this as a worksheet so that you can print it, give it to your class here. You can print that. Or if your learners have cell phones, right? And then there's connectivity. What you can do is you could either do a play, but I'm not gonna cover that. Just go on the assign. All right. So just click on assign, and what's going to happen here is that. So what's going to happen here is that this will be given as a game, right? So it will be done as a game. So say for example, or you can just instruct your learners to connect to the internet, right? And then on the Google Chrome application, they would need to input joinmyquiz.com. And then on the joinmyquiz.com, they would need to input the join code 62644790, right? So that's a way to actually do it. Or you can just show the QR code, all right? And then what's going to happen is that they will go ahead and be able to take the test, for example. So let me just give it a try. I will scan it so that I could start. Okay. All right. So this is how it looks like on my phone. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on start the game. And then it's going to be a gamified environment for the learners already. So who was the scientist known for contributing? So of course, that's Louis Pasteur. All right. I'll just answer it randomly so that you'll be able to see later as to how it's going to look like after the test is done. Okay, I'm almost done. So this is just random answering. All right, that's item number 10. And it's going to give the learner a review, right, as to in terms of the score. Okay. All right, so one thing that can be done here is that when you go to, or you would refresh this page, you will be able to see the test takers, right? So if you will be able to take a look at which item was answered not properly right. Okay. Or if there's a lot of them, you can also download here the Excel file for you to be able to make use of the result, uh, in particular to your item analysis, no? Because you would be able to see in there as to uh, how many answered correctly for this item, how many answered incorrectly for this item, which is a good way to be able to actually compute for item analysis, right? Because we need to have the number of students who got the item right. So you can plug this into your FCR or frequency of correct responses and would be able to compute for the um, mean percentage of score right away. So that's basically it on how to go ahead and make a quiz. So if you could notice, it's just really that simple. So what we just did is we prompt, right? We prompt AI or ChatGPT for that matter to consider the learning competency below and provided instructions on what to do. Because we learned that it's analysis, so meaning it's the fourth level. So the instruction for me is to make use of the 3070, so 3734 lower order. But I'll be specific, so I'll be having one item for the low order, to particular to remembering, two items for understanding, and then for set of seven items, considering that analysis is higher than applying. So I'll have more items for analyzing. So that would be three items for the applying and then for analyzing, so that ChatGPT will be able to provide you the quiz items, no? And if you're not even satisfied, by the way, for example, you're not so satisfied with the options in here because for most of it, the ones with the longer answers or the answer key, you could also ask ChatGPT to make modifications. So for example, um, you could say revise, right? The 10 item test options should be of similar text length. And then you could also add instructions such as provide distractions. Okay. So that it's going to go ahead and recreate that for you using similar length to kind of probably avoid if you could notice it's still long, right? So if you're still not happy, you could again instruct it um, to make modification. So let's give it a try. It is showing answer keys to be longer. Revise to have similar length, text length for all options. All right. So it varies already. It's no longer showing that the test item is the one with the longest, right, text. But if you're still not happy, you could always ask ChatGPT to go ahead and make modification. And that is where you come in, right, as the critique of the output. All right. So if you could notice in here, we're done with the third step. Actually, there's a fourth step there, and that's for you to go ahead and be the critique and request revision should it be required. All right. So that's about it on how actually to make use of ChatGPT for all those tasks. Planning the lesson. Second is preparing the materials or outlining your slide deck. And of course, the third one is creating assessments. So I'm hoping that the session that we've covered is actually beneficial for everyone. I hope that the things that I've taught you would be of benefit to you in terms of making your lives easier relative to the planning of the lesson, the preparation of the materials, as well as preparing the assessment that are really aligned to the cognitive demand of the learning competency that's focused for that particular day. Now, it appears that we're done with all the three objectives that we have. So before we'll proceed with the activity, I would suggest that you make use of the chat panel to raise questions if you have, so that we'll be able to address those prior to jumping into the activity for this session. So if you have questions right now, please feel free to write those on the chat panel. Is everyone still good? Can you send me a reaction? Okay. So if you have questions, I believe the chat panel is open for everyone to access. So please make use of the chat panel and send those questions in, so that we'll be able to address those prior to you doing right the activity portion of the session. Wala na bang mga tanong? Sir Franz, is this a combination of Cebuano and NCR, or are our participants just Cebuanos? Or Ma'am Amy? Ah, okay. All right. Thank you, Sir Franz. Okay. All right. So it appears that there are no questions. So let's go ahead and move on to the exciting part, which is for you to apply the knowledge, right? I'm gonna be requesting the moderator if possible to share the PowerPoint that I actually sent to Sir Manny yesterday, so that they will just anyway. I'm just gonna go ahead and copy paste the prompts to the chat panel, so you can just copy and make modifications based on the competencies. So let me start with this one. So it'll be easier. Lesson. So that we have step 2. And then we have step 3. And then we have step 4. So this is for lesson planning. So I've shared that through the chat to the chat panel. So let me do the lesson materials slide deck. So you can just do this to will be download PowerPoint file, or you could do the Spark, right? Revise as necessary. No need to actually put that. Quiz is assessment. So for the assessment, all we have to do is prompt, right? So here's the sample prompt. Forgot to add a number. And then, okay, here. Okay, so everything is actually here. So I've just added everything. Okay, so for the activity, so this is what's going to happen. Let me just maximize it to full screen. For the activity, here's what's going to happen. I believe everyone is ready already now to apply what they've learned. So the item number 1 is not possible, considering that this is not in a face-to-face mode. So just work individually. So the activity here calls for you to making a lesson plan. It's up to you as to which learning competency would you like to focus in. And then, aside from the lesson plan, you go ahead and create a slide deck of the lesson that you have generated and a quiz. Say, for example, it's a summative quiz, a 10 item, multiple choice test would be enough. So I'll be giving you 20 minutes to do it. And then later on, we would allow anyone to actually raise a hand so that they will be able to share to the plenary their output. We'll have one presenter for each of the tasks. So probably one would, you know what? There are few here. So we'll have three participants to show all the tasks, no, starting from the lesson plan, slide deck, and then going to the quiz. So what you will just need to do is to just show how you provide your prompts through your ChatGPT. That's for the lesson plan. For the slide deck, you also would need to see the prompt that you use to be able to generate it and also show the PowerPoint file or the Spark output, right? And then for the quiz, you also would need to show to us the flow that you did via ChatGPT. And then, of course, we would like to see how it's being integrated into Quiz right? So I believe 20 minutes is enough, but in the event that you're still not done in the provided time, we'll make an extension. But for now, that would still be 20 minutes. So if there are no questions, I'll start the countdown. And then during the countdown, may I request the moderator to at least play a sound so that our participants will not feel bored just, making their output without a background sound. So your 20 minutes uh, starts now. By the way, later I'll be doing a wheel of names for those participants. So may I request also the moderator to please paste in the names of the participants so I can put them on the wheel of names and just make use of the app to randomly choose as to who's going to present their output. Again, we'll be selecting 30 participants to share their output, and probably Ronas will be providing some perks to those who will be selected. So again, your 20 minutes starts now. 20 minutes has passed, so I guess we'll proceed with the um, presentation of output. So thank you so much, from Amy. I already have here the names of the participants, and we're gonna go ahead and proceed with spinning the wheel so that we will be able to the the fortunate one to be chosen to present his or her output to the plenary. So I'm gonna go ahead and spin it now. So if your name is chosen, please unmute your microphone, turn on your camera as always, and also share your screen, right? So that we'll be able to take a look at your output. All right. So the lucky one is Sir Ryan Mark Tamaya. Is Sir Ryan here? Okay, murag wala. It appears that Sir Ryan is not around. So let's just proceed. Let me just take a look at it appears that some are actually gone. It appears that the only participants that we have here is Ma'am Estabas, Ma'am Olivar, and Ma'am Butlay. So let's just be straightforward with calling them instead so that they'll be able to share their output. So can we hear from Ma'am Jeline Escabas? Ma'am, can you please unmute your microphone and share your screen?
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Can you hear
ma'am.
me, sir?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi. Good morning, sir. I'm Juliet Escapas. And sir, just to give you a background, sir, I am not already in the teaching profession because I am still applying
Mm.
for an item, but currently I am working as an administrative assistant. So I have no really a background in teaching, sir. I am here just to renew my license. Sir, what I'm asking, sir, what is what I'm going to explain, sir?
All right.
Or present.
So yeah, you just have to show your output that you did a while ago, given the instructions. So you were supposed to be creating a lesson plan using the AI, also drafting the PowerPoint using AI, and also creating a test using AI plus the integration of Quiz now.
Yes, sir. So first, I chose one learning competency, sir. I just researched it from Google, and I chose learning competency about plants of parts of plant cells.
Okay.
So here, sir, in the chat, how can I, ano ba ma-share ang ano, um,
Can you share your screen? There's a button beside the reaction, the one with the screen and arrow up. And then once you select that, you can go to entire screen and then select the entire screen and then share, man, so that you could share
ah,
your screen with us. Okay. So that's the assessment. Can you show us the
tapos
PowerPoint
po.
first? No, the PowerPoint, the plan. Okay, so we can.
This is the prompts that I have done in ChatGPT. So I just edited your prompt, sir, replacing it with the learning competency that I chose.
Mm-mm.
And then it generated a, this is the lesson plan, sir.
Mm-mm.
And then, back to your, sir, your comment, I draft it using the, so it generated
Mm.
vision. And then, I generate again a lesson plan. I know if this is right. So it generated again a lesson plan, sir, using the KSAB
Mm.
objectives. And then after that, I uh, I draft a PowerPoint presentation,
Okay.
and then here, and then I copy paste. I copied this, sir, and paste. I use the Canva AI.
Mm.
Sorry, here. Ito, sir, yung na-generate niya na PowerPoint
It's not showing us. Maybe it's from you did not use the entire screen, ma'am, no? You use the option to just the window. We're only seeing
yes,
ChatGPT. Or are you opening it?
uh, but I already made a PowerPoint presentation out of this, sir, and I downloaded it, sir.
Okay. Can
So,
you show
I
it?
haven't, uh, here's, here, sir, is the, ay, paano ko ba ma-share it?
Just share again or click the button again, ma'am. Then go to entire screen na. Kasi parang ginawa mo is you selected from a Chrome tab. And
Yes,
yeah, so just select entire screen so that we'll be able to see whichever screen you are presenting. Because if it's just a tab, that's the only tab that we can see on the shared space. Yeah, that's it.
uh, ayan, sir.
Okay.
So, that is the PowerPoint presentation that Canva AI generated
Mm,
based on the prompt.
okay.
And then, sir, I proceed to the
For the
assessment.
Yeah, can we see the quiz is
So
for
I went back to the ChatGPT, and then I prompted, okay, na-share screen ko ba ito, sir?
yeah, kasi
Ah,
parang
okay. That's
yung
okay.
Canva na lang yung naka-present ngayon.
Okay, ito, sir. Yan.
Okay.
Using the ChatGPT, sir, I requested to draft an assessment.
Okay. All right. Were you able to integrate that with Quiz is or Wayground?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I copy paste it to the spreadsheet like template
Mm-hmm.
that
And then
I downloaded from QuizIs.
okay.
Wait. QuizIs. Here it is, sir. Wait, I share QuizIs. So this is it, sir. I uploaded here in QuizIs.
Okay. All right. Well, congratulations for a job well done, ma'am. For just a
Thank you,
short span
sir.
of time, no, you're able to complete those three tasks that I asked you to do. Probably what we can improve, ma'am, is can you switch to ChatGPT and then on the first part, the top,
Yes.
yeah, because what I observe is that um, there was something wrong with, not really that wrong. There was kind of off a bit, no, on the
Yes, sir.
first instruction, because your first instruction was already create a lesson plan. So
Okay, sir.
just like what we have covered a while ago, our first task is to identify first, the cognitive demand of the learning competency, right? So we still need to identify that, so that we will be able to paste now what you have pasted, identify, that's already okay, but it's kind of a lot though. Is that one learning competency, or it's a combination of multiple competency?
I'm not sure, sir, because I just googled it from uh I just searched for a learning competency.
Mhm. Yeah. So the best way
And
to be able to do it is to really go back to the curriculum guide and then just go ahead
yes,
and
sir.
complete the learning competency. So the first thing is for us to determine first the cognitive demand of the learning competency. So that's the first. And then the second is we unpack, right? So we will tell ChatGPT to say, for example, on the first step, it shows that it's analyzing, so meaning it's mid. So our next instruction is to suggest a learning competency that's aligned to the lower order, so that you will have two sessions prepared. One day or first day will be for the lower level, and then the second day is the one that's required by the learning competency. So that if we already have the two sessions, that's when we go ahead and ask ChatGPT to write a lesson plan, not the other way around. Because if we would do that, though it would still provide an output, it may not kind of meet the requirement that we want for ChatGPT to do. So it's much better to identify first the cognitive level, followed by unpacking it. If there's a need to unpack, we only unpack if the learning competency belongs to mid order or higher order. If it's low order, there's no need. You can just make use of as is, whatever it is. If it's restricted to two sessions, then we could proceed with the outlining the lesson plan using, because if you could notice, right, what happens is that you it appears that the output already shows the lesson plan on your first try, even if it's not yet the intention, because the intention is to break down, so that it's going to be really a good output. We need to stick to the steps so that the result is not that broad. All right, but you already have you already have shown the expectation, so a good job for that. Probably Ronas would have something for you. All right, can we give a virtual round of applause to Ma'am Jaline Escabas? Yay, thank you so much, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, and we'll have another presentation. Can we hear from Julicina May Olivar? Hello, Ma'am Julicina. Okay, it appears that Ma'am Jolicina is away from the desk. So, how about we hear from Ma'am Teresita Butlay? Ma'am Teresita. Okay, she appears to be off the desk as well. All right. Anyway, I believe tomorrow you will have the asynchronous session via Google Classroom. So you would still be required anyway to submit your output. So I hope that you would be able to actually submit the requirement for you to be able to actually get the certificate, the certificate of participation, which will be a requirement for you to be able to renew your license via PRC. So let me just go ahead and proceed to completing the other parts of my slides. All right. So what we have here is So for now, go ahead and get ready with your phones later because I'll be giving you a QR code that you can use to be able to join the assessment. So before ending, let me just go ahead and kind of discuss some of the few items here. Considerations, no? All right. First consideration is you need to make sure or ensure that ethical use, right, is still being observed, right? Meaning you avoid plagiarism, you ensure the content accuracy. So if you could notice, it's highlighted there that there should be the insurance of the content accuracy. So meaning we should not always be relying on the content that's provided by the AI. We need to make sure that whatever is it that we're going to be using from AI have been double checked, have been assured, has been factually checked, right? And second consideration is to balance tech use with human connection in teaching. So given that the AI was able to, alleviate the burden that you are experiencing in the planning, in the creation of materials, as well as drafting the questionnaire. So it is now, the role of the teacher to make sure that the lesson during the implementation is of quality, right? By making sure that she is there, of course, to make a connection, all right, and be able to translate those plans into tangible and relatable experience so that the learners would really be able to get the buy-in, which is achieving what the learning competency is calling for. All right, so those are the two considerations. And also, here are some tips for teachers, and these are based on existing studies. Here are the ethical AI utilization tips for teachers. Number one, um, always review AI outputs before use, and that's according to Rodrigo et al. 2024. So, meaning, again, like what I mentioned a while ago, do not just be fully reliant on what the AI provides, but please make sure that you fact check so that whatever is it that we will be using in the class are all about facts and not from just unreliable sources or misinformed concepts. Second is use AI as a co-creator, not a replacement, meaning we should not allow that it's going to be AI now who's deriving the lesson delivery by fully relying on them. Human as we are, teachers as we are, we should be the co-creator. So we should be of the same level, if not higher level, than that of the AI. You are now the critique. You should not only be copy pasting what AI provides. You need to make some critiquing and make sure that only are the factual information are going to be used in the class. Number three, you also need to disclose AI involvement in work. So say, for example, you created a rubrics, rubrics for a particular performance task. There's no harm with saying that um, the rubrics are adapted from OpenAI. It's not wrong to actually cite, or you could even say it's enhanced by AI if in the event that you've already kind of drafted the original rubrics, right? You can just go ahead and say it's improved by AI. And when you do that, you need to be very specific as to which AI that is. OpenAI for ChatGPT, Google for Gemini. I'm not sure with DeepSeek though, as to who's the organization. But for Grok, that's with X, the X company, which is formerly Twitter. So you need to really disclose the AI involvement. Again, it's not wrong to make use of the AI. AI is even used in research, provided that you really would need to establish, right, that and there are even schools that would want you to submit the prompts that you did for you to be able to generate that kind of data, right? So for as long as you are disclosing that, that should not be a problem. And another side of the coin for disclosing is that um, in the preparation of your rational, for example, or literature background, it's okay to actually make use of the AI for as long as there's not too much about it. But on the analysis, while AI would be able to actually give you an idea as to how to start, you need to make sure that there's much of a human intervention in the analysis. That's what's really being required in the research world. And then fourth is choose tools with clear ethics policies. Right? So meaning you need to review conditions of the tool, ChatGPT, because there might be some fine prints there that says that whatever is it that you type in will be part of the model training, meaning the information that you have provided will become part of the knowledge of the model. In which case, there's a possibility that if someone would ask an information of a person that you were able to input to the model, that is going to provide that information, and that's already data privacy. So always review the ethics policies, no, of the tool. You need to make sure or ensure that the data that you feed in will not be used in the training, so it will not be part of his or its knowledge, right? And that the conversations that took place will just be in a private configuration or privacy. It's not going to be open to public because in ChatGPT, I know for sure that there is an option that you could actually share the conversation publicly, but I'm not sure with Gemini or the other, because like what I mentioned, I'm so biased with Gemini, no, because so far it's addressing all concerns that I have, and I know how it manipulates the data well. All right, so again, those are the four ethical utilization tips for teachers. So number one, always review AI outputs before use. Number two, use AI as a co-creator, not a replacement. Number three, disclose AI involvement in work. And number four, choose tools with clear ethics policies. Do not just simply jump into the bandwagon of using that without having understood the terms and conditions of the tool, right? Because after all, ignorance in the law excuses no one, right? So we need to have a good understanding of its terms and conditions to avoid possible repercussions in the future. Okay. So are you ready to assess what you've learned? So in this particular phase, all you have to do is to prepare your phone, or if you also have a laptop, that's okay. All right. So that you'll be able to take the quiz. Okay, so please, if you're using a laptop and it's difficult for you to scan the QR code, you can just open a new browser or a tab. Join my quiz. That's just one word, joinmyquiz.com. All right, and then input the code 28689590. All right, and then once you're done, or yeah, you just take the test. Or if you have access to the phone that can read QR codes, just scan, right, the QR code, and then go through with the phase of answering, right, the test. Okay, so I'll give you about probably 5 minutes to complete that. It's just a 10-item test, and I'm pretty sure you can just answer that in less than 5 minutes. The assessment is just so easy. So let me just start a countdown now, and hopefully everyone will be able to actually provide their answers, no, to the quiz. Right, may I request Rona's moderator to please play a sound while we're having the countdown?
Yes, Doc. Sige, Doc.
Yeah.
Doc, madungo ka ba ang music, Doc?
I can't hear anything, ma'am.
Ah, sige, sige, Doc. Sorry.
Hey, there's only 2 minutes left naman. Right. Okay, thank you so much. Rona. Thank you so much. Okay. All right, so time is up, and I already have the result here, but I will only share the result to Ronas because probably Ronas will be providing some perks, no, to those who are able to pass or probably got a perfect score for this assessment. So congratulations in advance. All right, so let's go ahead and try to reflect, no, and then you can write your answers on the chat panel. So please answer the two questions. How has today's session changed the way you view technology in your teaching practice? And number two, in what ways can you ensure that technology use in your teaching remains ethical and learner centered? So again, requesting the participants to make use of the chat panel to answer these questions. Number one, how has today's session changed the way you view technology or the use of AI in your teaching practice? And number two, in what ways can you ensure that technology use or AI use in your teaching remains ethical and learner centered? So I'll give you about 5 minutes to answer that and then we'll try to discuss. Thank you so much.
Sir, excuse me, sir. Can you show again the questions?
For a while po. Wait, there. Okay na
Yes,
po.
sir. Thank you.
Okay,
Yes, sir, thank
sorry.
you. Okay.
All right, so we'll just wait for about a minute or two, and let's see what your responses are relative to the two questions. So we have 1 minute and 40 seconds left. All right, so the timer is done. So I hope to be able to see your responses, no, in our chat panel. Right? So we have a response here to this session showed how powerful AI tools are to help teachers save time in making lesson plans and other learning materials. Technology indeed is best when used properly to come up with great expectations or outcomes. Thank you so much, ma'am. Technology helps teachers deepen the content of the lesson, right? Hence, increasing the knowledge acquisition of the learner. Furthermore, it enables the teacher to come up with varied activities that response to the diverse needs, learners' diverse needs, levels of learning abilities and interest and capability or capacities. And that's true, no? Because we could always also instruct AI to kind of we can instruct them to differentiate the lesson for different types of learner groups or capacities. So this is a good reflection. Does not change my view, but it just add my curiosity and eagerness to teach using AI at least. Good. To ensure AI use, ethics and use should be observed. Hence, plagiarism will be avoided. And also, one thing that probably we can do, no, to be able to make sure that though learners are able or they're using AI, that they still have that understanding is to kind of incorporate validation of their outputs. No, so what I usually do for the research in my class is that of course they're free to use AI in the composition of their manuscript, but I always see to it that there's going to be an oral recitation or an oral presentation that would really, and I would, on that oral recitation or presentation, I'll be asking them deep questions, relative to how they did that, what they've learned with that, so that we'll really be able to assess, not the output of AI, but of course, the ending knowledge that they gain out of that experience. Right. So for AI ethics, they're actually available policies already in place. We can even adapt that. But in the event that you feel that it needs to be added with additional items, your agency or your institutions can basically have it added, right? To so that you will have the standards and norms relative to AI use. So thank you all so much for your responses. I really appreciate you providing responses to these questions. All right. So my challenge here before I'll end is to urge everyone to let technology just be your assistant and not your replacement. With that, I would say that AI tools are only enablers, not replacement. Therefore, teacher expertise should ensure quality, relevance, and ethics. So even if there are already facts or text or narrative being shown by AI, let's not fully rely on them. You should still make sure that that is of quality, it's still relevant, and it follows ethics. Now, by using AI as a supportive partner, we can lighten our workload while keeping our human insight and empathy at the heart of teaching. So, this has been Fernando Ena. Thank you so much for your participation. And once again, thank you so much, Ronas, for the opportunity to have this kind of session with our participants.
Okay, so thank you so much, Doc. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Inad, for that insightful and meaningful presentation. Of course, for delivering a clear, engaging, and well-structured discussion and lesson planning with the ChatGPT. Indeed, we learned a lot from this. So the practical steps shared were highly relevant and easy to apply. It also helped us participants as well as teachers to have a better understanding on how to use AI properly, effectively, and also focus on the learner-centered instruction. So the session was insightful, timely, and empowering for the teachers. So thank you very much, Dr. Fernando Inad. So is there any further questions, my dear participants? Marami pa ba tayong katanungan o mayroon pa ba tayong gustong itanong sa ating resource speaker? Nandiyan pa ba tayo mga teachers? Wow, so none so far. So thank you for that, ma'am. Thank you for the reply. So before I will give the certificate of appreciation to our resource speaker, once again, may I remind all our participants to kindly complete the evaluation form for the resource speaker for this morning. So as you can see, may nilagay po kami na evaluation link or link po para po sa evaluation natin ni Dr. Inad po. Okay, so without further ado, let's have the certificate of appreciation for our first resource speaker for this morning. Okay, while waiting, nandyan pa ba ang ating mga participants? Okay, so let me read first. The certificate of appreciation is awarded to Dr. Fernando Inad. So let me read the content and profound appreciation of his exceptional contribution as a resource speaker during the national webinar workshop on addressing pedagogical challenges for all teachers and school leaders with the theme Empowering 21st Century Educators Strategies for Effective Teaching, Leadership and Innovation, held on January 30 to February 1, 2026 through the Zoom platform. Through your insightful discourse, expertise, and dedication, you have inspired fellow educators, ignited critical reflection, and contributed meaningfully to the collective pursuit of educational transformation. Your voice has helped shape a more empowered teaching force and a hopeful future for Filipino learners. Given this first day of February 2026 through Google Meet platforms, signed by our Training Center Director, Ms. Leslie Rose Gian, this certificate is awarded to Dr. Fernando B. Inad.
Thank you
Thank
so much, Ronas. Thank you
you.
so much, me. Thank you, Sir Franz.
Okay, may I remind again our participants to please answer our evaluation to Dr. Inad. Thank you po, Doc. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So at this juncture, we will now take our lunch. Gutom na ba ang lahat? O nandyan pa ba yung ating mga participants? Kindly give me a signed. Okay, gutom na nga talaga.